correct me if I'm wrong. Historically, the Roman army is like one of the, if not the best armies there is in history, right?
Uh-huh.
So how can a person just roll up and just knock over guards and just go right to the head general in any scenario there is there?
What?
Should it be possible for anybody just to like ride past the guards at the front gate, go
Are you talking
past
about the
everybody?
end? Can we talk about the beginning, the middle, and then the end? I mean, there's so many issues with Gladiator 2 that I don't know where to begin. Currently on Rotten Tomatoes, this movie, which was in limbo for so many years, should have stayed there with a credit score of 72% by their critics and 84% by the audience. There isn't even no lines here, no standout lines like the original.
There was something Denzel Washington said, and it disappeared from my mind as soon as I walked out from the theater.
Let's just get into it. Welcome back to A Tales of Two Bros. My name is Angel,
I'm Adon.
where we give you a review at least once a week. Spoiler alert. I don't know, I did some weird accent. How was your audience experience?
Mostly old people.
Yeah, because they wanted to see the original. Oh, well, you did see it with Mom like at 10:30 in the morning, the first showing of the day. I saw with Kim. The theater with us, I don't know how they were because we sat pretty much not in the front row, but in the first, like the mezzanine, like orchestra area where we just got away from people and gladly so.
Mom was the one that wanted to sit behind people. And I was like,
Well, no, I mean, whatever, it depends on where you want to sit, that's fine. But where we sat is just like people are behind us. I don't know.
yeah.
I just know this. People cheered at the end, and I have no idea what they cheered about.
No one cheered. There was a moment where someone was like, "Ooh," and I don't remember what it was. I think it might have been like the rhino scene.
Possibly. Well, it
Yeah.
was pretty violent. In this movie, the action scenes were a lot better, but there were a lot fewer than the original.
Yeah.
But going back to the audience real quick, so they didn't really cheer; they applauded, whatever, like a great movie. But I was like, no, especially the way it ended.
Mhm.
It made zero sense. The way it ended could be a Gladiator 3, but I hope not. So we have, again, directed by Ridley Scott, who did the original one, which
Mhm.
was, in our review, we thought that it was great. It was done very well. You can follow the story. You know what's going on. You know what's going on here too. But what threw it off was having Lucius, his son.
Yeah,
And it made
because
no
we talked
sense.
about that in the first movie that we were watching the trailers and alluded that Lucius is his son, and Mom was rewatching the movie afterwards, and I'm like, still, I understand that they allude that they had an affair, possibly,
Well,
because
not that
she
I,
was saying
no,
like she still prayed for him and whatnot, but there was never anything outspoken about the son.
right. To me, it was more like there were there was flirtations going on back and forth in the original.
Yeah.
That kind of alluded to that. But
Mhm.
then they talk about Lucius, who's now 8, which makes no sense because then they say he's 12 when he disappeared or supposedly died in the
Correct.
sequel.
In the original, he was like he was 8 years old. And then when he was supposed to have disappeared, he was 12. And then he came back like 16 years later.
Does that mean that from the time that Maximus was captured or disembarked when Marcus Aurelius was killed,
It's been
does
years.
that mean that it was been years
Yeah.
since he came back?
Mm-hmm.
Because they didn't say that in the original, like how much time went by.
I mean, in theory, that could be the case.
So 4 years went by.
It was a 4-year time frame, which kind of makes sense because he took some injuries and he'll have to heal
Right.
up.
True.
So
But
sure, we can go with that.
right. But the thing is, there was no talk. He is yours.
Yeah.
This is your son. Blah, blah. Nothing like that. Especially like say when he was dying, that she could have said that.
Correct.
But
I
she
always took
didn't.
it that he was being protective of Lucius because he's just a good man. Maximus
Lucius
is a good man
But
in
also,
essence,
Lucius, he represents the innocence.
reminding him of his children, of his wife and child. You know,
Right.
Mhm.
Correct. Because again, in the original, they claim that her son and his son were relatively around the same age.
But for
Which-
me, that feels worse now like that they like he was having an affair around the same time that his wife was pregnant. Kind of takes away. I mean, they
Right.
had open
Like how does that
relationships back then,
like
but I
how
mean, still,
but not really not well, yes and no, but I mean, well, he was a Spaniard, so and there were Roman, Greeks, what have you. So different, but again, like how long was he part of the army? And it save like they took him while his wife was pregnant. Then Lucius should be, in all reality, younger.
yeah. And
It,
supposedly,
it
like he knew like they grew up together. He knew Commodus growing up.
This movie could have been fine if it was not the son. It could have been Lucius, sure. Make it Lucius.
Okay, I'm gonna do one of your numbers. It's like Star Wars. Star Wars can be great, and it doesn't need to be a Skywalker.
Lucius could have been like Moses, where he's taken away for his
Mhm.
safety and he's raised by another family or village or town, what have you, right there. And he forgets his past, but even though he knows what his past is, he just has resentment.
Like
And he takes on
Tarzan.
another name. Yeah. So like that, it could have been like that way, but no, like to me, it's like it just threw me off because like every time they said that he's the son, I was like, wow, it was just fine enough that he was the heir.
Yeah,
That was fine enough. He was the heir of Marcus Aurelius. He was the next in line.
the heir, and he idolized Maximus.
Yeah,
Boom.
that's
That's
fine.
all you need.
Boom. That's all. Yes, he got it. He was inspired. You saw him fight. You saw him grab the sand and rub his hands and stuff like that. Yeah,
Mhm.
I get it.
It
Bad
it
person. And
just didn't feel all that inspiring
right.
for it to be
It
that
just
way.
took away. It just took away the greatness of the original.
Hmm.
Again, if he was the heir and they took him away in a sense for his protection, which made no sense because why would you kill or try to kill him when Maximus said at the end, "Give the power to the Senate, give the power back to the people," as the last command of Marcus Aurelius,
Yeah.
or the last wishes, excuse me, of Marcus Aurelius.
Hmm.
That would have been okay, fine.
And
But
clearly
then
that
they,
didn't happen.
of course, it's like, how did that? Like he said it in the Colosseum where you can hear people easy. That's the way they set the Colosseums and things like or theaters or amphitheaters. In that sense, the person can whisper and everyone can hear.
Hmm.
He gave the command and he should have been honored, but no, these twins who are raised by wolves, apparently.
No, that's the that's not
That's what I
that's
got it from.
no that's another set of twins. It's an actual myth or
Mhm, mhm.
Roman legend where there are twins that are born. They were raised by wolves. They came back. There's a whole thing about it. These kids, these emperors, were definitely not them.
But what I liked about here, this one was a little more true in a
Hmm.
sense of how things were done back then, because you have homosexuality, heterosexuality, bisexuality,
Hmm.
all that stuff there. Because you saw one of them, the smaller one of the twins, he was gay or bisexual because he had a boy next to him when he was rubbing, they're rubbing each other's arms, whatever. And
Hmm.
then the other one, Geta, he's has a girl rubbing him, massaging him, what have you, blah blah blah. And they said that he like the smaller one, the one that got killed last, he had either syphilis or gonorrhea.
The sickness has gone from his groin to his mind.
Because that's how it was back then. They were very sexually open back then for a lot of people, especially
Hmm.
the higher ups, because they just divulged and all that stuff. Denzel Washington, who was awesome,
I think he was, yeah.
he was the only thing to me that really stood out, and that he's the true villain of the story of this.
And I argued that with mom because she's like, "Oh, he was just bad." I'm like, "No, no, no, no. He wasn't bad just to be bad. There's a purpose. Like you could argue that he's actually a hero, uh, just going about it the bad ways."
Well,
Um,
he's a hero in a way that he was trying to do the same thing what Marcus Aurelius did in the first one,
he was taking
or
vengeance.
right for what had happened to him and his family,
His
yeah,
people, they don't
his people.
get. He
Right,
doesn't give his name, and
right,
he doesn't give his past. I was intrigued about his past. I would love to learn
right.
about his past because he, like, clearly he was a slave to Marcus
Hmm.
Aurelius and watched him. He learned from him. I was talking
But
to mom,
but
like,
be,
in the first movie. Marcus Aurelius said, "25 years I have conquered. I have spilled blood. I have done all this other stuff." And only in this last bit, he was like, and now he's like, "I want to give it back to the people." He
mhm.
spent a quarter of a century dominating. It's like Odin in Ragnarok. When you
Mm-hmm.
find out that how you get all this power, he conquered and slayed everybody in his path. You know, and
With the help of
even
Hela.
to appease the people when people were having bad times. So let's go to war. You know, bring back a victory.
But the thing is, like he said, he also was a gladiator. He
Hmm.
also served under Marcus Aurelius. He said
Yeah,
as a soldier, I believe. I believe he was a soldier
I
as
don't
well.
remember if he
And
said he was a soldier.
now I know he was a slave and he was a gladiator and all that stuff.
Hmm.
That for sure.
His daughter
God,
clearly
man.
didn't remember him.
Hello. It's kind of hard to remember everybody from who you meet throughout the
Hmm.
whole, your lifetime. And it could have been like something like a pass by,
Yeah, no, it
like
could have been,
but
but
he remembers her, of course. He will remember
exactly.
her because she of her stature, where he at that time was just a minion,
Yeah,
one of millions. I didn't like her portrayal in this. She seemed weaker than she was in the original. In the original one, she was they said you are a survivor. Yeah, she
yes,
may have survived here, but the thing is, she was seemed a little weaker. Even though she was trying, her and her new husband, played by Pedro Pascal, him, and the Senate were trying to take back Rome to where it was. Because Pedro's character, he knew Maximus, he respected him. He was his hero, and
yeah.
so they were both like almost of the same cloth. And it's a shame that they didn't use the same actor. Unless he retired from acting, it would have been great to have him come back.
The original Lucius from the first movie, Spencer Treat Clark. So IMDb has him as Gladiator 2, Lucius. Only probably
No.
because they probably used the little boy, but that's a different little boy.
Right,
They,
unless it's the one in the beginning on the flashback during the credits, that was him. And
yeah,
even though it was like watercolor version of the events.
maybe. I mean, the original Lucius is still acting. Like he recently did Salem's Lot and
Hmm.
Manhunt. Prior to that, he did like Agents and Shield and other stuff like that.
That's right, he was in Agents of Shield. I remember
Hmm.
that. Yeah. What they should have had the original actor. It would have been better. And plus, they kept it like so. Say that since the death of Maximus, it was 16 years later. They should
Hmm.
have kept it like 24 years later. The original came out in 2000. This came out in 2024. It would have been better. It would have made more sense because like you guys are just a little like 8 years apart. Come on, just make it. There you go.
Yeah.
But what about good moments?
I did like the stare down right when he first meets the emperors, and he gives them that poem his mother read to him.
Hmm.
Fights,
Well, it's not
slays
really a
the
poem. Sorry, it's not a poem, but it was written on the walls that he.
not with the emperors. No, it was written in the walls of his room where he
No, I
was.
understand that,
Yeah,
but I'm just saying that he read it because, like, there it is. It's just there. He could say over and over again.
but I mean
Go ahead. I'm
the
sorry.
emperors called it poetry.
It is poetry.
To me, though, that's a messed up thing for a kid to be reading all the time, though. The gates of hell are open night and day, smooth the descent, easy is the way. But to come back from hell and view cheerful skies, in this the task and mighty labor lies. That doesn't sound cheery as a kid.
No, but it's probably like probably a saying that his grandfather wanted him to know because there's probably a deeper meaning behind those words. I
I
don't know.
guess. I liked Denzel as a whole. You know, I think he
Yes.
stole the
Yes.
show in many a scenes. The
Hmm.
whole manipulating that one guy, he's like, oh, it's like double or not. And then he keeps coming back, and then he comes back, and the guy's like, I'll have your money. He's like, my money? Your house is mine.
Yeah.
That's also a good moment.
Wait,
He's you know what I want? I want the truth. That's what I want.
even though he's not willing to give it himself,
Correct.
he knows how to die.
Mom thought it wasn't painful enough.
No, no, I agree with that too. Just like the first one, how Commodus died real quick. I wish he suffered more. I just wish he suffered more, but he didn't. And I just kind of find it funny. I mean, we're going to the faux pas here, but his death, though, even though it was short, he knows how to die.
Mm.
Like in the movie Safe House with Ryan Reynolds, he dies in that movie. Spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he dies in that was also good. Man on Fire, he dies.
Yeah, but it was a hero there. But like, I
No, no,
do
no,
love Man on Fire. That's a great film.
no. But I'm saying like the way he knows how like for some reason he captures death beautifully.
Yeah.
And I find that stupid or silly that he's stabbing the chest plate, but it's not penetrating. That can't happen. Even though it was hitting the metal part, it was also hitting the non-metal part that it should have pierced through. Almost like the gods, his father was watching over him. Unless Lucius was going under deeper every time contact went in.
Like he
He
wasn't
wasn't
pressed
pinned.
on the
He wasn't
ground.
pressed on the ground. Right. He has some room.
Yeah.
Then maybe, but still, people were getting speared, arrowed, stabbed through their chest plate. But Maximus can his chest plate is impenetrable. Come on.
He's got that good armor.
I guess so. Besides Denzel, the medical guy, the medicine guy. I want to say not Riza, but Ravi. He was cool. He kind of reminded me of Winston.
Winston, yeah.
What's his name? I can't remember his name, but he kind of reminded me because the way he kind of looked like real quick was the same version. The actor, I'm forgetting his name right now.
Lance Reddick?
No, that's not Winston. But anyway, he's in Hercules.
Yeah, no,
and
I'll
it
tell you
almost had the same kind of look, the hair.
Ian McShane.
Yes, Ian McShane. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the hotel manager, Lance Riddick.
No. Oh, but the guy who was the black guy that got killed by the raging monkeys, he's in Spartacus. I love that show. And I have to say, before we go, there's like I love or fascinated with like Western movies, Roman time movies like Spartacus, like Gladiator, all those kind of movies back in the day, even though the way they lived is quite nasty, very unhealthy.
In comparison.
Yes, but I find that genre, that time period so fascinating. And he plays a gladiator trainer in Spartacus, that gentleman. He is ripped. And I feel bad, like he just let himself get killed.
He basically said it on the boat. He's like, my journey's done. He's defeated in a lot of ways.
Oh, yes. I mean, his arm is broken. Like he can't really fight as well. Like
his cities are conquered. He just wanted to let it go.
Right. I get it.
Yeah, I would have loved to see more of him. I like him as an actor, and I like his performances. That was what you liked? You liked him?
Ravi. I liked him. I just, the way he was, it was just, and given some like information. He reminded me of the late Oliver Reeves character in a sense, like he was a former gladiator, but he still stayed there because someone has to heal the gladiators.
Yeah.
The infections will kill you more than the battle itself.
I would have also liked to see the dynamic more between him and Denzel's character, Macrinus, because like there was a couple of moments where like Denzel will come in acting one way with Lucius, and then he'll see Ravi there, and he'll get back to his performance with Lucius. So I'm like,
right.
Is there like, does Ravi know his history? You know, or is there history between the two?
Apparently not, because we don't know about it.
Unless Ravi just kept it to himself.
Nah, but why would he? But he told him everything else. He told Lucius other things. So why would he hold that to him?
I mean, I don't know.
There's a lot of loose ends here. There's a lot of unanswered questions that could have been answered. Like, tell us how he is the son of Maximus. Tell us. Just let it be known.
You know, this is one of the few times, most times is so funny to me. Most times when we talk about this stuff, we're like, we don't need to know all the information up front. You don't have to tell us everything. Just force feed it down our throats. Let our imaginations run. Let us think about this stuff. But now we're like, now give us information.
Make it make sense. Again, as we mentioned before, if he was just Lucius that was kicked out, or for his safety, and then he had to come back, or that he finds out his mother's is dead, so he comes back for revenge for that.
Yeah,
because it was good that he wants to kill Pedro Pascal's character. I understand that. That makes total sense because he wants revenge for the death of his wife.
Yeah,
and of his new people too, because they came and attacked the village.
Yeah, he basically forego like Rome and all that jazz.
Right.
I didn't get the turn either, where he the point where he was like ready to kill Pedro Pascal. And then he just stops because he's like,
well,
no, Pedro Pascal is like, I married your mother. I loved your mother. And I also loved your father. He was a great man. I would have died for him. That's to me a few sentences more than Martha. Save Martha. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. But at the same token, I can understand because the kid is still full of hate and he's allowing love to come back in that aspect. And yes, granted, the guy is the killer of his wife and people. Or he's not the killer, but he's the orchestrated it.
But here's the thing: I would have gone with the idea of like him in the fight being like, It's like, I'm not your enemy. Our real enemy is up there, the emperors. I now know who you are. It's like, what I did was not meant to you. It was a task I was given by the emperors.
But how much can he say that in that time frame?
Well, he that's about as much as he said before, where he was like, I know your mother. I love your mother. I know your father. I worked for your father. And it's like,
he probably could have said that after Lucius killed him, meaning like he rams the sword into his chest,
sure.
And the voice is, his mouth is to his ear, and he's telling him that as he's laying down. So Lucius is now feeling guilt. He figured out that he was a pawn of the emperors.
Yeah,
that could have drove him then to take them down or bring back Rome to where it originally was intended to. That could have been great. Now, changing. What's great about Denzel's too character, he reminded me of Penguin.
Like no one's safe.
Well, he's a manipulator.
Absolutely.
He'll get people to backstab each other to work in his plan, like, put stuff in your head in here, put stuff in your head over here, and and then have you thinking like, this guy is my enemy, not my friend, even though he's been with me for like childhood, blah blah blah. So he was great in that aspect. And my God, how vicious was he at the end, in the sense of like the other emperor, like, save me or stop him, and then he just starts slicing his head off.
Oh yeah, no, he wasn't saying save me. He's like, help me, because he was asking him to like take the blade from his brother. And yeah, that was messed up. Now I remembered why I liked Denzel's character so much. So there was an anime I watched not too long ago called Vinland Saga. There is a character called Askeladd, and basically through like majority of the season, Askeladd is like pretty much a scumbag. He leads a band of Vikings, and you have this one kid, Thorfinn, who's basically sworn to kill Askeladd because he killed his father. You find out at the end, Askeladd was a slave born out of wedlock to another, lord or whatever, and he wasn't English. He was like Welsh. He was supposed to be like the son of Arthur or something like that. He was originally named like, he was supposed to be King of Wales. Basically, he swore to kill the king of the Vikings, and he just did every dirty thing he could do to gain favor, get to him, get next to him, and the king eventually called him out on it, and he killed the king in the task of his own death. I was just seeing parallels between his character, the guy who was willing to protect his people in his kingdom, get vengeance in the process at potentially his own death, but do the most scumworthy things possible to do so.
Fair enough, yeah. I saw this out, it parallels to today's political times, because we have here Trump, President-elect Trump, picking his wacko cabinets, and you have the kid picking his
first advisor.
His first advisor, the monkey. Yes, I'm like, that's Trump. Trump will do that too. And then he picks the smart one, but who's actually the betrayer, Denzel's character. And in the sense of running amok, distracting people with the gladiator fighting, that's all distraction to what's really happening. And then they kill the hero, the true hero, which was Pedro Pascal's character, because of their insecurity, and then Lucius puts into her face, look, this is how they treat their hero. What do you think they're going to treat you? And then the uproar came. Oh, let's get into more faux pas. Real quick. So when Rome is burning, there was a scene, or real quick, that like a stick gets thrown, or a piece of board gets thrown. You saw that too, right? You saw that too?
The one soldier. Big.
It doesn't do anything. Exactly. It hits the it's like, was that really a soldier there? Or you would think the soldier will react or maybe duck, but he just gets hit.
It's like the Queen's Guard. Up until a certain point, you could do and they won't move. I laughed.
But let's go into what you were saying early in the beginning in the cold open, in the sense of
it didn't
running
make sense.
Past none, running past soldiers, generals, lieutenants, and no one is stopping you. Well, granted, I understand Denzel's point, because he had the military wrapped around his finger already.
Yeah, but this guy is not the military. This guy is a former slave working for gladiators as like a makeshift doctor. He has no pull whatsoever, no recognition.
Oh, you're talking about that one. That guy, yes. Ravi.
Yeah, because he literally rides through, And the security,
Correct.
and I call them the security guards because that's as much authority they had, because they're like, oh,
Hmm.
oh, and then he just rides past
Right.
everybody through
Uh-huh.
right to the main general's tent,
Pushes the soldier.
who like literally approaches him, shoves the guy aside, and everybody just stops, and he brings in the ring. He should have been gone. Like
Killed. He
there
should have,
should have
yes.
been no way he
Swords,
should have been there.
swords, spears drawn at his throat, even killed, because this guy, this stranger, penetrated their forces.
Yes.
He's a threat. You take out a threat. But no, let's let him ride in through and then let him push your people around like nothing. But I'm talking about at the end where Denzel rides past,
Mhm.
right? But I understand he has the military wrapped around his finger. Then you have Lucius come by and no one stops Lucius,
That's true too.
right? Until he says, I am the son of Maximus, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, why
Come
was
on.
Denzel riding past the army?
I don't understand. Like, why? Yeah, why? Like, I understand you're trying to escape, but you're running past the army that you have control of because you're going to be the emperor of Rome and you're running towards the rebellion, if you will.
Where he's going to the head of the battle that was going to happen.
Yes,
That
right.
makes no
But
sense.
why?
Like it would have been more appropriate if he rode to either the Senate house or the emperor's
Mhm.
home. That was his goal. He wanted the thrones.
Right.
He said it himself, like, no one's gonna question once I, get rid of this last emperor, and then like they'll see me as the hero. Like let the things go through. If he was
Mhm.
trying to ride away, there was more than one way out of sight of Rome. Yeah, I have to take one seat. I get the saying all roads lead to Rome, but it's not literally all roads lead to the one gate of Rome.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many. Where's another faux pas?
This part's a nitpick. I was watching it. I'm like, what are you, James Bond? In the sense of, how James Bond never gets injured, or when he's injured, just minor.
Right. Well, he got scratched, right?
Yeah. So like
But no arrows hit him.
Lucius
No.
always gets the same cut on his arm in the same spot.
Oh, that's right. That's right. When his wife died,
Yeah.
he's laying down. You see a cut on his arm, and yes, you're right.
It
And
says
then
it's been with him the entire time. So I'm like, either A, you just keep reopening the same wound, or someone keeps cutting the same spot. They said that's the weak spot. And then secondly,
right.
Vigo.
Oh yes.
And
So
Vigo puts on what I would like to
spike
say
gloves. Pretty much
they're spike
spiked.
gloves. They're the equivalent of kickboxer. Remember when
Right.
when he's skinning the
Yes.
gloves in the glass? That's what
Yes.
that is. And he's just
Yes.
all faces.
What? Yes, and not like a subtle bruise here and there. No rips, no cuts,
no bruise, no
no bruise.
wounding.
Well, there are some bruise like the next day or so. They show a little bit of that, but
Yeah,
yes,
but still.
you would think that he got hit in the face that many times that blood will be gushing out of his face,
Yeah.
bleeding profusely.
Even if you weren't taking into the fact that these look like spikes, these are like brass
Yes.
knuckles. There should be
Yes.
some more injuries on this guy. So you're like
Definitely.
clearly
Like
the hero of the movie, because he could take a hit.
it would have been better if like he was like that bad beaten up, but still be able to still overcome it because he's bare knuckle.
Yeah.
Then okay, cool.
Did you recognize any callback people?
Callback people. Well, the Senate, some of the Senate.
Yeah. Derek, was it Derek Jacobi as Gracious? Mom's like, that can't be him. He would have died.
Maybe not. Well, it's
It's
only
like, no,
16 years.
it's like, it's only 16 years, Mom. It's like, yeah, but he looked like he was like 60 or 70 in Rome in the first one, and then he comes back.
Well, I mean, it's 24 years from both films, so it's okay. Well, also a callback was the tigers.
They showed tigers and the dog.
The monkey thing was kind of
that was more of a
silly.
callback to it.
Well, the monkey thing was more like in the sense of the CGI was just so bad. It's like, why bother? Like
the CGI of the monkeys was worse than the CGI of the tigers.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, why? You know what? Let the tigers run free. Let them loose off the chain and let's go.
I mean, I could be also wrong, but I don't remember ever talk of the Colosseum ever being flooded also in history.
I have no idea. And probably yes.
That it was flooded?
I don't know, ocean water, whatever. But I mean, I don't know.
I mean, now
that
I gotta
be,
watch the History Channel because I feel like that place doesn't hold water.
As I talk, go and do a real quick search. Oh, the They didn't understand why they took out Maximus' name off the wall. They had Commodus, and Maximus' name was like etched out. Why? If he was such a hero of Rome, why would his name be crossed out? No one explained why his name was crossed out, and that was like answer these simple questions. All you could have done was done that. Was answer those simple questions.
There was an article in 2016 where they said that that may have been the case, like where they actually did flood the arena.
Okay, so it's
It
possible.
basically alludes that they may have done it like one time, for one time for an epic mock battle to flood the arena.
Well, they did here, like in the original, they used that scene, that battle, whatever, to represent history, because they did that in the original. Remember, with the female gladiators fighting with the arrows and the chariots? It represented a time in history.
I mean, it's basically like theater, like they were all themed battles.
Oh, you know who I did like? The MC of the Coliseum.
Oh,
he said, all right, guys, blow the horns. Okay, shut up.
Matt Lucas.
Stop. He was good. I'll say that. He was funny. Or he was fun to watch, because again, he's just hyping the crowd, and the way he's talking is very flamboyant, but he's like, all right, guys, all right, play it louder. Okay, stop. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what we have, it's like, I did appreciate him.
I like the monkey.
Come on, how can he not like the monkey? Come on, everyone likes it.
I thought it was the same monkey from the first movie.
Who had him?
The monkey rode with Maximus and was a part of the slavers. Yeah, because Mom was playing the movie again. I'm like, it's the monkey.
I just remember the dog from the first one. I don't remember the monkey. There's so many faux pas I can't think of right now, even though I just saw it, and it's I'm more disappointed.
We spit it out a lot of faux pas, honestly.
True. Pedro Pascal, I was surprised that I thought he would have more of a role, and I'm kind of glad he was killed, because he's in everything. You know what I'm saying? He's in Last of Us. He's in the new Fantastic Four movie. He's in.
I think he still did a good job, though.
Oh no, he did a good job. He played an important role.
Absolutely. I also consider it like his wife is basically a hostage situation. Remember when he tells the emperors, can't we just be done? Like, we've conquered enough. The people are needing health. They need, the people are hurting. And he's like, I would like to see my wife. And he's like, speaking of your wife, and he pulls a sword on his neck, and he's like cutting his neck as he's talking. Oh, we've given you guys so many leisures and so many benefits of the government. I'm like, that's like a backhanded comment, like, basically. And then you show up and there's the guards there. Like, she clearly can't leave on her own. To me, she's a hostage.
As long as she's captured, he has to do their bidding.
That's what I took it as, yeah.
Let's wrap this up. As the time of this review, Gladiator 2 is currently ranked at 72% by the critics, 84% by the audience. Where do you see this at?
I'm going to be more with the critics on this one. 72. I mean, it's a watchable film. I can say you can still get enjoyment out of it. As setting aside the faux pas, I had a good time.
Yes.
But it doesn't live up as much as A, the hype will give, and then B, it did not surpass or meet its predecessor.
Yes. I agree with you. Yes, I'll actually go straight 70. I'll go straight 70. It is entertaining. Denzel does rock it. The acting overall is good. Even though I find the writing was a little in comparison to the first one.
It still brought a tear to Mom's eye.
I get it. Yeah. But it just like the writing here felt like George Lucas writing in the prequels.
Hey, some people will love that.
I understand that, but the writing is so bad at, like, Lucia, the words are just doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel like her. It just feels like someone else that should be playing this part of a different character altogether.
Yeah.
And even in Pedro Pascal's character, his wording, it was just like, it's too proper, where in the other one was proper, but wasn't that proper. It was more commoner, if that makes any sense.
I see where you're coming from. Yeah.
Yeah. Is this worth the watch?
I'm going to say no.
Okay. Definitely not worth the own. Oh, the last thing before we got the ending. It made no freaking sense.
Where it was like,
I thought,
tell me what to do, Father. And then you see the Elysian Fields. And is that actually Russell Crowe's hand?
It could be, because his hand got fat. So it could be Russell Crowe.
They could have just used the same clip from the original.
Right.
I mean,
or they could use someone else's hands.
Yes.
Because Russell Crowe, he wanted to be in it somehow.
Wait, he did want to be in it?
Yes. He wanted to do like a cameo, something like that.
Okay.
But the flashbacks was good enough in my thought. The
The animated
watercolor,
flashbacks, yeah.
that was awesome. Him telling about the two horses on his chest plate, him passing out, him dying, and him saying, "Is Lucius safe?" Yes. So when he goes back to the Coliseum, he says, "Mother," and I was like, "Mother." I guess he's wiping
he's
the
touching the
blood.
blood. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he starts to do this with his hand, like it's like he's trying to find something. I thought he was going to pick up the little toy statues. That was his brother and the other mother.
Oh, that like they've been there for 16 plus years.
Right. And then he happened to find it. He dug up and then, because he went to dig, but I thought he was going to dig again. But he just gets the sand to rub in as if he's trying to talk to his father.
I mean, as many coincidences have happened in that movie, sure. That way.
That's what I thought he was going to do. Because he went straight to the same area pretty much where they were buried.
Yeah.
And I thought that would be it. I was like, but at the same token, that would have made no sense for him to find those two things because it's not his mother. It represents his half brother.
Yeah.
If that was the case. But the way it ended, it made no sense. Father, guide me. What do I have to do next? It's like, what? That made no sense. It would have made more sense if it ended with him accepting the crown or being part of the Senate. Like that.
It would have made more sense if he was touching the area. I don't get the clouds behind him, but just touching the soil, doing the thing that he would see Maximus do, and then it cut.
But why? Why do that in the first place? I mean, maybe
it would it make more sense than calling out to his father and whatnot?
No, that made no sense at all. It would probably make more sense if he rubbed the blood right from his mother with one hand, and the other hand is the sand, and then he rubs it together.
That's what I was saying.
Well, I'm just saying,
he touched the mother's blood first, and then he went to grab the soil. Just cut it at that point when he puts his two hands together.
Okay, then all right, yes, because the blood represents her, the sand represents the father.
Literally where he died.
Yeah, exactly. Father, what do I have to do next? It's like, why are you asking your father? Ask your mother, who was just there. Like, Mom, Dad, what should I do? You know what I'm saying? Like, ask them both. Why are you asking one?
Yeah.
All right, guys, that is our movie review of Gladiator 2. Have you seen it? What was your favorite moment? What was your least favorite moment? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Until next time, we'll be the next time. I'm Angel.
I'm Adon.
Love you, bro.
Love you too.
And happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, happy Turkey Day.